Hi everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today to celebrate and recognise International Women's Day. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land where you may be tuning in from today. Here in Melbourne, the people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. With the annual International Women's Day celebration earlier this week, our focus on gender equality, of course, isn't restricted to a single day. As a firm, we're very aware of the importance of gender equality, and I think we have among the best representation of gender diversity in the legal profession, including, of course, in our leadership and at board level, where historically women have been underrepresented. So today I am really delighted to welcome Meena Singh to speak with us about this year's International Women's Day theme of Choose to Challenge. Meena is a Yorta Yorta and Indian woman, a lawyer of over 20 years standing, currently legal director of the Human Rights Law Centre, and an advocate and wonderful role model for gender equality. Meena, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. You know, to me, challenge is so important. I don't think you grow personally or professionally without challenge. And, you know, whenever I've sort of delivered training, say cultural safety or other legal types of training or something, and talking about the experiences that you really learn from, it's those yuck experiences that really make your tummy churn and you don't quite know what way to go with things, and they might produce the ethical dilemmas or those those sorts of situations that you really have to work through, and maybe the challenges that question your own values and where you're approaching things from. And so, I think we should always see challenge as a healthy thing, not necessarily a negative thing. For me, challenge has been something to always to rise above, I guess. For me, there's been the challenges, obviously, of being an Aboriginal woman, of being a woman of colour, of being a woman, and getting sort of, attitudes and perceptions or questions that suggest I shouldn't be where I am. I think lots of us who aren't white have had the question of, so where are you from? But where are you from really? Like, where are your parents from? These sorts of things that we deal with a lot, and give us signals that maybe that we're not expected to be where we are, and we're not expected to thrive and to challenge and do well. So that's a really big sort of context that I've been in personally. But the same challenges I think that lots of people face, studying law school, just thinking, are you good enough to get through? And then I think as a woman we always have imposter syndrome about whether we should be here and whether our skills are enough and such. And there's a lot I think to be done around just our legal system, how inclusive it is, how we really understand diversity, how we really bring people into its fold, and in a meaningful way, not just in a tokenistic way. I see my role as, and I feel more comfortable in it now that I'm older, of being able to support and nurture other women in their experiences, and especially in the workplace. That's the challenges in terms of the workplace, context. But in terms of the challenges of the women who we advocate for, there's a whole host of different issues. A lot of our work is focused on women and children, and their experiences in the criminal justice system and the broader legal system, and how often it's women who bear the brunt of legislative change or policy change. We saw it during COVID with women having a much greater burden in terms of losing work, or in terms of carrying the load of home parenting, working and schooling, doing all those things.
And the pay gap.
Yes, and the pay gap. Absolutely, yes. And there's just women experience things in a very particular way, but also then again, Aboriginal women who we, in our work at the HRLC, we focus on experience things because of the intersection of racism and the history of the history of colonisation plus sexism as well. So when you think about these things, you've really got to take that multi-view approach and really put their voices first. I think that's a big challenge of how do we make sure their voices are heard. I think it's such an important opportunity for so many more people beyond Aboriginal communities to know our experiences and know how colonisation, which so many people think is, 200 years ago or however long ago, how colonisation has such long-lasting impact. It's so important to get our stories out and into the broader community to understand how colonisation entrenches itself and how it is the deliberate disadvantaging of a group of people to the advantage of another. And that's what the whole process has been, from removal of people off their country, from breakdown of culture, from removing children from family, all the things that keep us strong. All of those things have been taken away. So people need to understand that we have such overrepresentation in terms of criminal justice systems, in terms of suicide rates, in terms of chronic illness or mental health issues, or such shorter life expectancy, because all of the things that keep us strong were destroyed. And there's a direct link, a direct ongoing link. So I'm hugely excited to see how it folds out and how it will be incredibly tough, and it'll be incredibly traumatic. We live with a lot of intergenerational trauma in our community, and it will show the amazing strength of Aboriginal community in telling these stories. I think the only way you can challenge others is if you truly challenge yourself, and you really need to think about what your own biases and prejudices and privileges are. And we all have them. Some of our privileges that we carry, we're born with them. Others we acquire, such as education or employment status. But you can't. There's so many things you can't do for others until you do it for yourself. So really thinking about why am I interested in something? Why am I wanting this? Why am I? We're effective for lots of us. If you're not from a marginalised community, and if you do have that privilege, you're really asking the question: why would I be helping or supporting others to get to where I am and possibly beyond? Because that can be a tough question. A lot of times when we talk about, say, merits-based responses or that sort of stuff, and it's not an either-or thing of whether one person or another person gets something. It's about creating the spaces that allow everyone to participate. And so I think any sort of challenge outwardly first needs to start with your inward challenge.
Thank you so much. Some really powerful messages, and I'm sure our audience will join me in thanking you. It's been an absolute delight having you to interview you today and hearing your views about the importance of choosing to challenge and the wonderful work you're doing to promote gender equality in this week of International Women's Day. So thank you so much, Meena.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Genevieve.